Hello and welcome to Ginny's Gin Livestream. I'm Ginny, and along with my husband Rob and our dear friends Amy and Jeff Close, we started Ginny's Gin a few years ago. So this is Livestream number 35. I can't even believe that we've been doing it for this long and that we've been staying at home so long as well. So now we have a palette of gin in the warehouse that is dedicated to the Livestream gin cocktail making show that we do, and then of course the stay-at-home samples that we've been taking from this particular palette. Anyway, it's been several months of cocktail making and cocktail drinking.
No, a lot of this is experimental.
Oh yes, and we have to experiment obviously to make sure that the cocktails that we
It's
bring you
it's part of the creative process.
Fabulous.
Yeah, they've been vetted.
So the past few weeks, as you know, we have been doing a lot of cocktails that are using seasonal ingredients which have been gifted to us from friends. Thank you to everybody for that. So last weekend we went down to Petaluma, and Alice has this fabulous tree. So she has this small holding farmstead, I'm not sure what you call it, but it's out in the country in Petaluma, and she has this particular tree that is absolutely loaded with these beautiful little citrus. And I guess the previous owner of the house, she was Filipino, and so she planted a bunch of stuff that she uses not only in cooking, but she also I think has a skincare business as well. And these little babies, I guess, are really great for your skin. So yeah, when I was juicing about 50 of these, I was hoping that it was going to help all the spots on my hands, but I would have to bathe in it, I think. Anyway, so this is called the Calamansi, and it is native to the Philippines and Borneo and also Sulawesi, so Southeast Asia. And they, so let me show you this, how small they are. And some of them are even smaller than this. So this is a lemon, and look how the Maya lemon, but the size of it. So it's quite small, and it is, I believe, it's a hybrid of the kumquat and the satsuma. I guess there's different, ideas on that. But the point behind this citrus is that it's actually very sour, and it's used a lot in Filipino cooking and Indonesian and Malaysian cooking. And oftentimes when it's green and underripe, that's when they use it. And Rob, not only did we do a little experimentation with cocktails, but Rob spent all last week coming up with these great recipes, Filipino recipes. And so he's going to, later on, he's going to expand upon that and what he did with the calamansi in cooking. And we've both got a cocktail that we're going to bring for you. But to begin with, because we're talking about Sulawesi and Southeast Asia, I do have a quick story. Sorry, Rob. So back in the summer, he's going to walk away now. Back in the summer of 1996, not the summer of 69, I did a solo backpacking trip to Asia. I did Hong Kong and Singapore, and I did some sort of fairly ritzy things. But most of it was all backpacking. I think I brought one good pair of sandals and one good dress for the fun stuff. But it was really sort of very adventurous, and I did quite a bit of diving up in Manado, which is the northern part of the island of Sulawesi. And that's a story for another time, but I did find myself, because of the language barrier, in a 50-meter tunnel at 171 feet of depth with sharks in the vicinity. It was pretty spectacular, and I survived to live. I lived to tell the tale, but that's a story for another time. But so the story I actually want to tell you is about how I was trying to get to the island where the Komodo dragons are. And if you Google it now, how to get to see the Komodo dragons, Komodo Island, you can either, it's pretty difficult to get there, and I chose to go by boat. Actually by bus and then by boat, and it does say that it's fairly treacherous, and yes, that boat trip was incredibly treacherous, and we did survive. And I remember kissing the ground when we got there, because, and again, that's another story. The story I want to tell you is, so I get on this bus, and I think there are 2 Americans on the bus. I'm British, and everybody else else they're all locals, obviously. And so we get on this bus and it gets, and you know, more and more people pile on and pile on and pile on, and then the goats are going up on the top of the rack on the top of the bus and what have you. And then ultimately, before we take off, there are lots of people just holding on the outside of the bus as well. I mean, this bus is completely loaded down. Anyway, it's great fun, and you know, and the the way to get across this island is sort of like this, and there's, you know, it's just crazy, you know, bumpy and what have you. So guess what? The bus breaks down in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of this island, this remote island, and I'm trying to get to the other side to get the boat that will take me out to the island where the Komodo dragons are. So turns out after, I mean, actually I have a photo here. So this is, I guess it's something to do with the wheel, and so they're trying to figure it out. They can't figure it out, and they're going to have to get parts and what have you. But there's a bus that's coming back in the opposite direction, and they give everybody the option of going back if they want to. So the two Americans on the bus, they went back, and I decided, no, I was sort of, you know, had a bee in my bonnet. I needed to go in this direction, so I stayed. They couldn't fix it, so what happened was, you know, I ended up spending the night on the bus. But the most incredible silver lining of the whole thing is that a lot of these kids in the village had never seen somebody that looked like me before, and they were laughing, and they just thought I was, you know, pretty strange, obviously, which I am. And then I ended up, and they all surrounded me, and I ended up singing, and we were just laughing. And obviously there's a total, you know, language barrier, but it was great fun. I didn't get any sleep on the bus, of course, but in the morning, there was a gentleman there in the village, and he invited me to come into his hut with his entire family, and they scared an egg out of a chicken, and they made me some breakfast. And this, we had a photo taken, actually no, I took a photo of them, and this is the hut where they lived, and they made me breakfast, and they were so hospitable and lovely. And, you know, for them to give up an egg, you know, on me, a complete stranger, was pretty fabulous. So that was my Sulawesi experience, one of the experiences. Ultimately what happened, I think, you know, hours and hours later, you know, through the night and what have you, they got the part that we needed to get the bus back en route, and ultimately I did get it out to go and see the Komodo dragons. But the boat ride was a whole other story. Anyway, so that's my Sulawesi story. The Calamansi. So I decided to make a gin fizz with it. You know, you can take the Calamansi. So because Alice's tree was so incredibly loaded with all this stuff, we took a big bucket of it, and it's not going to last forever, obviously, because when you pick it, if you don't snip it, what happens is that, you know, it pulls a little bit of the peel off. So right away, what we did is we juiced it, and then we put it in, that was Rob's idea, we put it in ice cubes, and we just froze it. So we're using the frozen calamansi juice for our cocktails. But if they're fresh, if you buy them fresh or you have them on your tree, you can just muddle them or just squeeze them freshly. So here's my Calamansi gin fizz. I am going to take my little mason jar, and I'm going to add 2 ounces of Ginny's gin. There we go. Out of the freezer. Yeah. Great memories from that, actually, you know. Solo backpacking. I always backpacked or traveled solo. One second. Yeah. Because you know, when the door opens, you want this serendipitous moment. You want to be able to take the opportunity and not have to like negotiate with your fellow travelers. So all of it was, thank you, Sue. I did it all by myself, and the other thing about when you're by yourself, you're more open to talking to other people and interacting with the locals. So I would definitely recommend it. Okay, so 2 ounces of James gin, and then this it's now melted, but that was the ice cube, which is 3/4 of an ounce, 3/4 to an ounce of the calamansi, and I'm just going to throw that in there, and then I'm going to throw in an egg white, which I've already done. Actually, let's do this simple. So rather than just using a regular simple syrup, 1:1 sugar to water, I decided to take some Thai basil. So Thai basil is also native to Southeast Asia as well, and I love the combination of the Thai basil and the calamansi. So what I did is I infused, I did a 1/4 cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of water, boiled it, and then I threw in a 1/4 cup of the leaves and some of the flowers as well of the Thai basil. And I just, so it had boiled, I stirred it around, and then I took it off the heat and then just let it steep for, half an hour or something like that. You can let it boil for a little bit in there, but just the steeping is enough. And I love the way that the simple syrup smells and works really well with the calamansi. So I'm going to do 3/4 ounce of simple syrup. That might seem like a lot, so you can go less if you like, but the calamansi, because it is sour, I think it's fine with that amount of sugar. So that's simple syrup. And then there's my egg white. Oh, would you mind putting the light on, honey? For some reason we don't have the lights on. Thanks, sweetie. Yes.
Mr. Sweetie.
Okay. Oh, look.
Because the sun went down.
Ta-da! Okay, you can see me now. Okay, so I'm going to dry shake it first, and then I'm going to shake it with ice. As we talked about, I think a couple of weeks ago, you can actually shake with ice, take the ice out, and then shake again. As long as you shake both times, it's fine. So, a fizz, really does need to be well shaken because the egg white needs to get incorporated. And so, take your time shaking it. Yeah. Yeah, I'd really like to go back to Asia actually. Rob really is into cooking Asian food, so that would be something that you would really enjoy, I think. Alright, so this is shaking without ice, and now I'm going to shake with ice. Ta-da. Take 3 of these. You need a cocktail. Have with ice. And if you have a shaker, that's great. But for those of you that don't, it's perfectly fine to use a mason jar. Sun is setting. We've had some incredible sunsets recently. Okay, my exercise for the day. You want it to be nice and frothy, obviously. Okay, there we go. So we have a herd of squirrels that keep jumping on the roof and jumping on the deck, and they're noisy. And they're just playing and having fun. Rob's not happy. Okay, so I'm going to strain this. You can strain it into a Collins glass, which is, a tall glass. But I kind of like this glass for this particular. It's got the nice, straight sides. But I just think it looks pretty in this one. You learn the rules and then you can break them, right? And then with the fizz, you just go ahead and you use some club soda just to top it up, and then the...
Sounds like I heard a cattle on the roof.
It is loud, yes. And top up with a little club soda here. There we go. And I really love the smell of the Thai basil, so I'm just going to do a couple of... This is the Thai basil flower. It looks kind of pretty against the white as well, so I don't know if you can see that. But there it is, the Calamansi Gin Fizz. And Rob, now, take it away.
Happy Friday, everybody. Yeah, we immediately tried making drinks a couple nights in a row, and I think it's one of the reasons why Ginny chose the egg white, because it helps to kind of remove some of the astringency. So, calamansi. One of the things that's really popular is calamansi and soy sauce, and they make like a dipping sauce. And I just kind of found it on the internet that ubiquitous with Filipino food is calamansi. And one of their like big things is to take equal parts of, this is 3 ounces, or 3 of our 3/4 ounce ice cubes of calamansi juice that we fresh squeezed. And so then to make it equal amount, we would do 2 1/4 ounces of soy sauce. So 1, 2 1/4 ounce. And then, you know, depending on your preference and how much you like, crushed garlic, which I just did a couple seconds ago. So this is like 2 pretty large cloves, so quite a bit. I don't want to get that on my fingers before making drink. And then crushed red pepper. And that's really kind of like, I mean, in this small amount, it would probably be like a 1/2 teaspoon, but I don't know, I think it's pretty good with a little bit in there. So just put in as much as you want in terms of spiciness. And I made this the other day, and it tastes amazing, just like this. These ice cubes will melt, and we'll have a great little dipping sauce. Super good. They do it like on fried chicken and all kinds of stuff. But they also use it as a marinade, and especially for pork. So we did pork chops in this exact marinade, and then the next night we did, or the first night we did chicken, and then we did pork chops. And we did them both on the grill, and we soaked them for about 4 to 6 hours. And they were both really good. And in the end, you squeeze a little bit of fresh calamansi on top. And I garnished with Thai basil because we have it, and they do go together really well. The drink I'm going to make really quickly is a Tom Collins version using another seasonal. I put some frozen calamansis in the bottom just because it helps to keep the drink cold and looks cool. The glass is pretty chill already, but we're going to go ahead and fill it up. There we go. And then we're gonna take our Ginny's gin. And this is 2 drinks, but 1 glass. So instead of 2 ounces of gin, it's 4. So we're gonna go with the 1.5 ounce end of the, so there's 1.5 and 3, and then 1 more makes 4 ounces. What? Why are you laughing at me? No, do you want to have a drink and then 10 minutes later you go, oh wow, I need another one? Or do you just make one big one? I think that's, for a Friday night, I think that's the way to do it. Okay, so we've got our gin. And then what I found was I love the flavor of the calamansi. It's amazing. But all by itself in a drink, it seemed a little astringent to me. And so I decided to kind of blend it with some orange juice, and I did that the first night, and then the next night we had a couple blood oranges because they're in season right now. And so I'm going to do 1 ounce of blood orange. It might take, and I'm going to get all of it out of one. Okay. So there's your ounce of blood orange. It was just a little bit less. Okay. And then we're going to take 3/4 of an ounce of calamansi, which is one of our little frozen ice cubes. And I'm going to put 2 bigger ice cubes in here, and when I shake it, this is going to melt into the drink completely. So you can just leave them frozen and shake them right into a cocktail. It will melt faster than just water. So then a little bit of balancing with simple syrup. So it would be a 1/2 ounce per drink, but this is two drinks. So we're going to go the 1 ounce. A 1/2 ounce of drink isn't a lot of sugar. So this drink is going to be pretty tart. Exactly 1 ounce in the bottle. And
no.
We're going to put a little bit of highly carbonated club soda. Look at my hair. Woo! We haven't even had a drink yet.
I know, really.
Yeah.
We're really fun when we do.
Slide a little bit of club soda down in there, and I think the calamansi drinks like a little bit more than like a lemon drink would of club soda, and they make like simple syrup or sugar and carbonated water and calamansi juice is really popular in the Philippines, and they drink it like a calamansi soda. So this is kind of like that. So I think I got everything in there. I just need to put it in a big ice cube, 2 big ice cubes. Give it a shake. A little pinch of salt would be great. I forgot to bring some, so I think we can live without it. So you've got to shake it pretty darn good to melt that ice cube. You can kind of hear it. It's turning into slush. And it's cool because oranges just don't have enough acid by themselves, and I like adding it or adding lime. Next week I got a really cool lime and blood orange cocktail. Okay. And I love blood orange for a lot of reasons. A lot of anthocyanins, which are really good for you.
Great color. Yum.
There's that. And then, I mean, if you still have nasturtiums in the garden from last spring, why wouldn't you put one in your drink? And then even the flower of the nasturtium looks really, really cool in there. And then you can make it really busy and throw in a nice dehydrated blood orange slice so that the whole thing is looking kind of cool. And that's what I love about these stainless steel straws, because it's okay to then over garnish, make it look really cool on top, and then you just slide your straw in there. And this is our blood orange Calamansi Ginny's Gin Collins.
Yep, Calamansi Collins.
Yep.
Awesome.
And then, I don't know whether we'll use this as a marinade or just a dipping sauce, but we're gonna eat it because it's really, really good. The other two things that we did, or one of the other things we did, was make a salad dressing that I really love. And I don't remember where I learned it. I think it was like on Simply Ming. Some guy from the South was making some cool food, and he did 3-2-1. So it's 3 tablespoons or 3 cups of oil, neutral oil, and then 2 parts of yuzu juice, and then 1 part soy. And it's a really, really good salad dressing. And so I did this with calamansi, and I liked it even better. So 3 tablespoons of oil, like olive or grapeseed, even better. And then the calamansi. Calamansi, 2 tablespoons, and then 1 of soy. And that's really, really good.
We may have to come back and get some more, Alice. Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it.
So guys, next week we would love to do this on Saturday instead. And it's going to be around about 4:15, 4:30. I'll let you know. But we're going to shift from Friday to Saturday just for next week. And then we'll continue normally with our normal Friday at 5. So if you bear with us for next week, it'll be on Saturday. And we've got some great cocktails for you. And hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. And cheers.
It looks tropical, doesn't it?
It does, very tropical. It's great.
Oh, that's actually really good.
Great way to start the weekend with some cocktails.
Awesome.
Cheers.